Orb on the movements of the earth, episode 19. Yolenta, she lives. She lives and breathes. I'm glad you're safe, Yolenta. I'm impressed that you know it's a girl. Yeah. I was worried for my life. Yolenta might understand that. Maybe we have a lot in common. Maybe Yolenta sees something in Traka, though they have very different motivations, initially. Episode 19, Morality is something you find when you're lost. That's a very interesting title. Is it? Maybe? I need their interpretation of that. Is it a pigeon? Wait, oh, it's torture. It's a human. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know why the torture mask didn't give it away on the guy turning that wheel. And also, why would they be dunking pigeons? I just figured it was some weird archaic church thing. Pigeon dunking, you've never been? Bishop Damian. Oh, Bishop Damian. Man, I know we've been introduced to him. Can't remember exactly who he is. Totally unfazed. I don't think he's talking about authorization. Right. I think we've learned a lot about Ash. That's boring. And that's why we put them in cages and put them in the water. But that would be highly inconvenient for my cherry picking. I have this one example and that's what I'm going to stick to. Yeah, but that one time, I mean, Ash might surprise me, but I don't think you really need to look that closely to see what is actually motivating him. And it's not history. So this is just a shield.
大司教が魔女の嫌疑をかけられた者を集団暴行から救っているし、400年前には呪術師でありながら法王の地位について
Yeah, but that was so long ago. Does it even count? Wish I could accuse you of heresy and sorcery.
どうしてそんなに弱腰なんです？
This is not being timid.
ここで信仰を守るため我々が立ち上がらず何が聖職者ですか？私も
I've stood where you are standing. Interesting that they're hashing this out right now. Despite all the force, yeah. Wow, great line. Wow, what? Huh? You just spit on him? That was a humiliating moment and it undercut what he was saying. But I don't think Damian would want him to be submerged, even if you do have the authority. It's a really beautiful line. There can be no salvation built on terror and torture. I think that's one of those things where if you hear it, it's like, yeah, you know, sort of wishy-washy. Can't we all just get along type things? But just very zoomed out, I think it's a difference in levels from illness to symptom of illness. You can sometimes just brute force your way through overcoming symptoms. You can patch things up. You can stand there and just deal with things again and again at each instance as they occur. But the illness is just waiting underneath that. It's just self-generating. It's only going to carry so long and it might adapt to the treatment. You have to go down to the root. And if your attended root is goodness, then you have to probably be good. And you have to understand goodness. And you have to hold the highest banner of goodness that you possibly can. Always without diluting it, without taking shortcuts. As for love those with different beliefs, I think there's an important distinction to be made there, which falls in the vein of love the sinner, not the sin. So I think you can vehemently disagree with a belief and not like a belief system and still see the belief holder as a human being, not to pathologize them as scum or something different or lesser than you fundamentally, something non-human. I also think that gets easier with the realization that most people actually have different motivations than their beliefs anyway, speaking of which. Their motivations are very human ones of feeling like they understand and know their place in the world and are good people and that they fit in with their community. And that's a very understandable entry point. Who's going to take issue with that? I would like to believe, though I could be wrong, that the actual malicious motivation for belief is on the rare end of that spectrum. Though more common maybe is the maliciousness that arises from feeling like that other thing is challenged, like my safety in my community and my knowledge of the world and my sense of well-being is under threat by this different belief, and so I am malicious towards those people. But nevertheless, often the way people fall into one group or another of ideas is more a dice roll than deliberate hatred or something. Also, I feel like we need a whole story. I need the arc for the guy who just spit on Damian, because that is not a normal human being. This book is very dangerous. Does this sound familiar to you, Damian?
ポトツキに寄付しろと。
Potaki, man.
調べたところ、
Does Potaki know about this? Oh no! Damn it. I mean, the sense of reason, but I want to see Potaki get that.
地動説を研究し捕らえられたものだ。
And he sold out his son.
35年前に私も担当した事件だ。
Oh, it was you! You and Novak.
あの
Unfinished
青年二人が
business.
いや、彼らも25年前に死んでるはず。
Damian's been there the whole time. Is it your turn?
宇宙論か。
Oh, wow.
町外れの酒場に元異端審問官の男。
Oh, it's Novak. He did. Yeah, his life has gone to ruins. Is it
あな
Novak?
たがノバクさんですか？
So different.
君誰？
Not knowing that his daughter is alive. She made no attempt to reach out to him? Well, I guess she knows about the whole Inquisitor thing.
酒をおごってくれる。
I'll do it for a drink.
いや、仕事の話なので
Man, my man.
酒は。
Novak, down bad. Well, in that case, I'm just gonna take a nap. And I'm up again. I'm awake now. But I may nap again soon. You don't know what this man used to be. He used to be great and terrible.
最近発生した事件についてご協力いただきたく。
It involves a book that's been haunting you your entire life.
君が。はい。
Look a little soft there, Ash.
異端審問官
Not like back in my day.
はいじゃん。君若手でしょ。
I can smell it on you.
で、昔世話してやった恩があるから。 今は俺を個人的に雇ってくれてるわけ。
Okay, so we're still making money.
つまり俺は
For alcohol.
働かなくても金が入るチーム手に入れたのよ。
Well, it's good to see that he landed on his feet. Novak really made it. This would be the dream for a lot of people. Early retirement with pension. Novak's got to see this through to the end. There is some redemption for him possible, very interestingly.
働かなくていいの。手なわけで仕事の話はなし。
I don't think money is the motivation here.
人には歴史がある。彼も
Factually correct, yes.
地動説に狂わされた一人だ。
That's not the full explanation. I guess that's actually true.
あなたは宇宙論の専門家なんですよね。
It's back. They're still out there.
帰って。しかし、
I got it. He's still carrying the orb, interestingly. He is now the holder of that locket, that medallion, that's been passed down from the beginning.
ありえない。
This is how he was justifying it, at least. Well, at least I did this. Such thin appeasement for his pain. You can't bring an end to a truth. This is the feudal battle that you're fighting, paralleled by what Bishop Damian said about you can't find salvation by torture and pain. It's a deeper root. You're just feudally, vainly chopping at the leaves. Yeah, I'll say. You can't kill it. You can't burn it. You wouldn't really know now. As terrible as Novak was, I mean, he was pretty awesome, fear-inspiring. Well, he just sobered up completely for this.
おそらく異端解放戦線による犯行かと。 私も捜査に協力させる。
It's so weird how Novak just becomes like the through line through the whole show. Is he not the main character? I mean, the main character is the truth, but...
情報は錯綜してますが、おそらく女性かと。悲惨だな。もっと安全に生きる可能性もあっただろうな。
Strikes a chord and is way more relevant than he realizes.
歯が抜けてると。
What does he know? Do you know about... Oh.
間抜けだな。
Oh.
しかし、彼らの逃亡先が分かりません。
She always wears pink gloves.
なぜ今回に限って本なんて狙ったのか。
You know the answer to this.
まず前提を疑うんだ。奴らの真の目的が教会正統派を打倒することだと。
That would all make sense then. It all clicks. The book has something.
写本は手間では。
Oh, have you not heard?
異端審問官なら最新技術に
I like how he still keeps up on the latest from the bar.
最新技術は
Actually, that's a pretty good way.
悪事に利用される。今回の場合
I mean, how evil do you consider porn? Because that's what it actually is. All new technology is first used for porn. Well, they would think it was evil, so. It's funny with all this like AI stuff coming out, where now you can like switch faces and stuff. I'm like, man. In a certain industry, this is like 20 years old.
今回の場合本を手軽に量産できる活版印刷が関わってくるかもしれん。
He still got it.
意義がないなら早速印刷機職人と活字職人に聞き込みを。
How shocked would you be if you'd written this guy off as some drunk?
機材を自作してる可能性もあるから。
He just stumbles out of the bar or calmly walks out of the bar, perfectly sober, and just lays down the game plan.
でもこうやって異端を打倒するために立ち上がってくれてとても心強いです。
This is actually very interesting for
彼らは操られてるだ。
Novak.
ある種被害者だよ。
This is so different, yeah.
真の敵は彼らではない。
Who's the enemy then? Who are you after? Who are you fighting? Who is them? He's made like some invisible demon. Heliocentric is the demon here. I think Ash, not quite yet, but he will serve, or he can serve as a reflection. Because Ash is sort of the gung-ho, like, we just need to torture them, whatever it takes. If we're doing it, may as well enjoy it. But Novak has been to the edges of that and back. I mean, he still has that burning hatred, but he has, or he will have, a much more rounded out vision of what that means. You can't wipe out a concept. You know, that's just a futile thing. To make this really out there and abstract, I think there are final victories conceptually, but they're not really for our purposes. It's not like if we just cut this corner and get to this point once, we've won now and forever. And so therefore, like, you could justify a lot of corner cutting or whatever, just to like pass the baton there, because once that baton's there, it'll, you know, be there forever, we think. A victory is final and there's no more evil, etc. And instead, we have an opportunity in this life to be on Earth this once, to hold the torch for something. It doesn't need to be final. You don't have to finish the race for that to be beautiful and glorious and important. So you just carry the best torch you possibly can, and that for you, for your narrative, is complete. You don't have to solve the problems of the universe. You don't have to complete the world. That's larger than any one human. That's a collective effort, and that's something godlike. You don't want to fight the things that are layers deeper than you, you know, that go deeper than your own existence. You want to align yourself with them and then like be the expression of those things in a way that is good. One of my favorite quotes ever that I mentioned a million times is, I think it's from Master Roshi in Dragon Ball, though I can't find it anymore. The truth is only painful if you lead a life of lies. Reflecting on this, I have a theory that a lot of that sort of existential pain or idea-based pain, there is some sort of cornerstone of belief that is helping us function or helps us feel safe, or that we rely on in some way emotionally, that is sort of like grinding up against just what the reality is, what the truth is. And in many cases, it doesn't mean that the truth is bad. It means we just haven't coped with it yet. We haven't figured out a way to make it fit or sort of turn the corner on it so that, oh, actually, this is just part of life and it's not a bad thing. It's not as terrible or terrifying as I thought it would be. The terror, you know, the fear, the pain of it often comes from just like, it's stabbing into something that you thought was really important, that is too feeble to really support itself. And so that's a vulnerability. It's a weak point because you're getting snagged on this thing that perhaps got you through one problem or many problems, but like now brought you into this new territory of life and thought where it no longer fits. It was always a shortcut. And so that probably has to go, or use some revisiting. Funnily enough, to Novak's point, you know, if it's not working out, revisit your assumptions. Novak could use some revisiting of assumptions. That's fair. I was afraid for my life, man. Threatening me. Veiled threats. And this too, my ambition. It's my ticket. At least she's really honest all the time. That's a lot. That's big deal. Though, I mean, they're not profit-oriented, though they wouldn't mind the profits, probably. Imagine all the heresy we can do with money. It's more than money for Chaka. Money doesn't mean money when she says it. On homeless people's scalps at one point. I really wanted it. I really, really wanted that book. I'll give you 50%. Just please write it down now. 7 years. 30 years, damn.
5年後、14歳で地動説に出会った。
Jeez, she was 14.
その6年後、20歳で初めて人を殺した。
Oh, you had to kill.
39歳であなたと出会って、土星は空を一周した。
It's poetic.
あなたの読んだ地動説を覗き込むと、神の偉業が見えてくる。そうですか。
Wow, then it can make me super, super rich.
だから、申し訳ないですけど。 それ何の話ですか?
This is really cool. It's really true. You feel like these words themselves have that inherent feeling. You know, like if I just connect this idea for you, you'll be hit with the overwhelmingness of it that I'm hit with. But it's just not how it works. People just have to have the prerequisites, which is not at all a slight. You know, like it's just people are where they are and they're focused on what they're focused on, which is probably what they've identified consciously or unconsciously as their greatest point of need, which probably will link very tightly with their perceived dangers and their greatest fears. Just imagining myself then, this would have been something where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. But like, I'm thinking about girls. How do I get my crush to notice me? Which there's no judgment on, you know, like, I don't think I was stupid. I think it just means that was the stage I needed to be at that moment, because that was sort of the forefront, the intersection of what I most lacked and what was most important to me and what carried the greatest significance and urgency for, you know, my life as an adult human. And now I'm at a place in my life where I would love this. You know, I'd love to stand there with Yolenta and hear this speech, as I love watching it in the show. This actually ties into what I was saying earlier about, you know, loving people, even if you don't like their beliefs, and how to take the edge off it. I think it's disarming to think about it that way because I've gone through those stages. There is no me in the permanent ideological sense. There is a more permanent me based through the continuity of my time and experiences, during which I've had many different sort of rationales and ideologies. So there's no reason to think that other people don't experience the same. And it's highly likely in many cases I'm meeting them at some midpoint of their ideological journey. And so why would I hate them for that?
私の感動を必死に伝えてる。
はあ、だからなんで私にそんな話するの？
You have it. You have it. And you're
あな
important.
たは私の知る限り、あの本を読んだたった一人の存在で。
It's inside of you now. That makes us pierce.
なぜか今、
And because beauty is meant to be shared
私とあなたが出会ったから。
on this fateful day of Saturn's orbit.
私が感じた価値を話させてほしい。
And sometimes these things
お金
take
儲け以外の
time.
ね。
These can be a slow burn.
人を殺して異端を解放して社会を乱す。
Draken, very daring with the debating.
私は取り返してるだけ。教会に奪われた自由と人生を。
Pretty badass.
それはあなたも同じじゃ。
Good question.
つまり権威の中で生じる思考停止は何も宗教だけじゃなく
True.
学問ってものの中でも
It's
起こるんじゃ
everywhere.
ないですか。
This is sort of Oxy's point also. There's definitely something to this idea, yeah.
確かに真理を盾に暴力は加速しうる。もしかしたら私は地動説という権威を
It's hard to get out of this trap, yeah.
部下は思考停止で従ってるだけかも。
It's hard to stay fully fluid and mobile, always.
ある種それは必然で、
It's sort of non-human.
思考すると常に何らかの前提が成り立ち、それがいつしか権威となる。
We just need shortcuts. Like just imagining we had some way to quantify a scale between the most basic, the most zoomed out, and the most nuanced. That bottom level of nuance would be just so exhausting. It would be so intricate. Discussing anything, doing anything would be impossible. So we just have to like exist on the level of functionality, whatever that the closest one is. Now, nuance is really important because those shortcuts don't capture the full nuance. They're just useful shortcuts. So they have to constantly be checked and rechecked for the current goal. But a certain amount of that is just inevitable or else we can't proceed. We're trying to hit this very, very fine line in that spectrum between like absolutely as accurate as possible and on the other extreme just way too reductive, and then that middle point being like great perfect functionality. One example of this from videos, at some point I was talking about how there's no such thing as good people or bad people, and I got a comment like, yeah, that's true, but everyone knows that already, so you're just sort of splitting hairs. And that is true, I am splitting hairs, right? Like good person, bad person, if we think about it, we know that what that means is we've taken a lot of little things and we've sort of put that into a package that is useful for us in knowing how to act and behave around that person. If it's a good person, it's someone to have in your life and let into your inner circle and to do things with and to make plans with. If it's a bad person, you want to keep them out. And that's probably the most important level. And so it doesn't really matter so much in that vein of thought that, yeah, like people are complicated and even people we call bad have good moments and, you know, we have to account for time. All that's true, but it doesn't matter because of the action. And yet it's still important to revisit those ideas because we know what happens and how terrible it can be when we take that too far, right? And what all the failings of that type of thinking are. Inability to see people through time, right? Like this person did one thing way back then and now they're just cursed to be hated forever for what they've done. No one is allowed to be redeemed. No one is allowed change, except for me, of course. I just made an innocent mistake. But him, no, he is just permanently terrible and I hate him. So it's like all these things simultaneously. It is a struggle, but you know, that's our task. Wasn't that an early question in the show? Do you understand the burden of the truth? That I think goes into that category. And that's just one thing. Then throw in the stagnation and the calcification of ideas over time, how they get further from the original source because the source could never get captured by words. It's a mess. It's a never-ending struggle, but that's our burden. That's our task.
誰もその枠組みからは出られないのかもしれない。
We can in moments, maybe.
あなたのこれが悲劇でない根拠は
Can you know
私
that
の
at
目
all?
的地には自由があると信じてるから。
自由の定義は
そう問えること。少し喋りすぎたかな。
Nope, it was great. Draka will probably come around to it and then later think it's her own idea.
あなたの条件だけど、利益の2割は渡せない。
I can give you
この本で
100%.
お金稼ぎするつもりはないから。
I can give you 90%. 10% is for Pataki.
印刷機だったら貸してあげてもいい。
Good deal.
悪い条件じゃないと思うけど。
It's a great one.
だか
Our
ら
interests are aligned. I mean, you're asking,
はい。それでお
begging
願いし
to
ます。
do what we really need to do and want to do. It's our goal, so please do it and be rewarded for doing it.
私も古い友人と久々に再会して。
Wow, that's so cool.
ええ
Hearing Oxy's words through Badeni's hands and homeless scalps all the way here through Draka's lips. You can imagine it in Oxy's voice. Man, imagine waiting all this time, all these years later, dreaming of this, actually hearing the, wow, amazing. I should write a
以上です。
A diary for my unborn children. I actually was thinking about that today randomly. The irony would be that they never want to read it.
字は奇跡ですね。
They are miracles.
そういえば聞いてなかった。
And now everyone can have this experience with the power of the printing press.
どうしてそんなに稼ぎたいの？
I'm scared and hurt and in pain.
でも時々信念なんて忘れさせる何かに出会ったりする。その感情も大切にすべき。
Be a little bit open.
でないと。
私みたいになる。
It's the thing that Draco was questioning, you know, that sort of authority.
でも信念を忘れたら人は迷う。
迷って。きっと迷いの中に倫理がある。
I want more explanation on that, the episode title. My interpretation of what she's saying, or the way I think this works, is you hold on to your convictions, which is the most important thing you can see at the moment, which again will probably be naturally, healthily a function of where you are and what you've experienced and what you most need. And like go for that as best as you can while keeping your eyes open for new information, you know, where the truth enters in and sort of like there's that stabbing pain of this isn't right, you know, something's clashing here. That's maybe your conscience telling you that there are amendments that can be made. And sometimes those will, in hindsight, look like steps backwards, but it's part of the process. There's also just some part of it, I think, that's immunizing yourself to things that are unhealthy. There is sort of an undercurrent of the idea of feedback and maybe something like fluidity in a lot of their discussions. Still not exactly sure what she means by morality is something you find when you're lost. Because I would say another way of looking at it is morality is something that you lean on when you're lost. I mean, having a code for life and rules to follow is most useful not when everything's going well, because that's when it's easy, but when things are chaotic and when you sort of lost your bearing. But that could be what she means by find. It's a port in a storm, you know? There are certain things you can rely on, even if you're totally lost. Is that on the movements of the earth? Wow, really cool episode. We went from talking in a carriage to talking in a shack, and it's just as thrilling. Also, the Novak and Yelena thing, really cool, gearing up for maybe a reunion, maybe just some crazy catharsis. And redemption for Novak, though, there's still a lot of danger for him, which is just very exciting narratively. I mean, at this point, from where they're standing, they're enemies. But of course, they're not. Of course, Novak wants Yelena more than anything. Her conviction talk actually applies very relevantly to Novak, right? His, I'm going to destroy heliocentrism at any cost, as if you can, like, kill an idea. And all the destruction it's wrought in his life, how he just doubles down on it as a result, even though he himself said sometimes you need to revisit your own assumptions.